everybody, and welcome to the Real Madrid Hub. I am your host, Eric Rivera, and this is, of course, your spot for all Real Madrid news. Well, drama is surrounding La Liga and Barcelona and Real Madrid lately. That is what's been going on during this transfer window, whether it's the negotiations for Mbappe with PSG, which we'll get into in a few seconds, or it's, Messi's departure. It seems everyone's pointing fingers. And, well, apparently, actually, this is an article from Diario Marca. Florentino Perez has responded to now gone, essentially, FC Barcelona member, or the member of Espai Barça, Jaume Llopis, who basically was saying that he basically made the allegation that Florentino Perez and the new CEO of Barcelona, Ferran Reverter, were the ones that convinced Laporta to not negotiate with Messi and not accept the CVC deal. And that was what caused Messi to leave the club, essentially blaming Florentino and Real Madrid, along with the new CEO, of course, of Barcelona, for losing Messi. So that was, the allegation that he threw out there. Of course, as I have said in the past, it seems like anytime there is an issue with Barcelona, anytime there is a problem with Barcelona, it seems to somehow fall back on it being Real Madrid's fault or Florentino Perez's fault. But Florentino Perez was not going to go quietly. Of course, as we know, he's already, taken the CVC to court, as well as Javier Tebas to court. They have already started legal proceedings against him. So he is not a man to go quietly and let things slide. And essentially, he already came out on and responded to Jaume Llopis and said, "It is impossible that I have had any influence on the departure of Messi or in any decision of Barcelona." Because essentially what Llopis says in his statement, and he said this to Cadena Ser on La Vanguardia, he says, Laporta is convinced by Ferran Reverter, the new CEO, that he cannot sign, the new CEO of Barca, that he cannot sign with the CVC, and that Florentino Perez, because of the Superliga project. The circumstances are also like this because of the fact that Ferran Reverter, new CEO of Barcelona, has a long-standing friendship with Florentino Perez, and they both convinced Laporta to change his opinion radically and no longer negotiate, and in this case, meaning no longer negotiating with Messi and the CVC. He goes, it's surprising that it's 25 days away from the end of the transfer market. There is time to look for solutions. There has been time to look for solutions, and they not only refused to negotiate with Messi, but they refused to negotiate with the CVC. He says this is the perfect solution for Florentino Perez because they can renew Real Madrid with Mbappe. So, of course, in his communication, not only does Florentino Perez say that this is obviously that he had no business there, but he says it is that he had no fault with this situation. He also says that it's completely false that I have a friendship with the new CEO of FC Barcelona, Ferran Reverter, because it's a person that I have only met on 2 occasions in my entire life. One of those being 4 months ago, and the other one last Saturday during a reunion. Well, this was the famous meeting that he had in Barcelona with FC Barcelona president Joan Laporta and the president of Juventus, Andrea Agnelli. So he goes, it's impossible for me to have a friendship with somebody that I've only met twice. And he goes, I would hope that Jaume Llopis comes out and rectifies his comments because they don't correspond with the truth. So, of course, a lot of drama there, essentially, with Florentino Perez and Barcelona. Of course, his name coming up and Real Madrid's name coming up with anything that is revolving around a problem with Barcelona. And in other news, the saga with Odegaard at Real Madrid continues. It seems like, Real Madrid had said that they were not going to let go of any other players unless a good offer came. And essentially, we do know that Odegaard is not happy with his current position at Real Madrid. Something that, on a personal note, bothers me a little bit because essentially, he's saying that he's not going to get enough minutes or feels like he's not a starter because, of course, Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric would start before he would, and they are, of course, that legendary midfield that we have at Madrid. But for him not to remain at the team seems sort of, it seems short-sighted to me by the Norwegian player since, Modric is probably in his last year at Real Madrid. It's going to depend a lot on how, he performs this season, but he's already, up there in age. He has said, that he wants to retire at Madrid, and continue to, or play with Madrid until he possibly can, but he is definitely in the twilight of his career, and there is, somebody that could step in for him is undoubtedly Odegaard. And then you have Kroos, who has also come out many times and said that he only wants to play until the age of 33. He's 31 currently. So, these are guys that are sort of, I wouldn't say, at least for Modric, he's in the twilight of his career, but Kroos still has only about 2 years or 3 years left, essentially, depending on what he decides. But Odegaard, for me, is considerably the next in line. People can say, Isco and that Ancelotti is trying to recover Isco's form, but Isco for me is essentially another sub at this point, and Odegaard would be in the front of the line for me to play in Real Madrid. So it's kind of strange that he wouldn't sort of remain patient. But he wants to play more minutes. He had a good time at Arsenal, apparently. And it seems that Arsenal is ready to pay the top dollar that Real Madrid was asking for. Essentially, Real Madrid said they wouldn't go no lower than 50 million euros for the Norwegian player. And essentially, according to The Sun in England, Arsenal is willing to pay 50 million euros for Martin Odegaard. And this is something that Real Madrid might have to look into in the sense because they have a contract with the Norwegian player until 2023. And of course, if they wait until next summer and he doesn't get as many minutes, or, you never know what will happen during the season, his value could diminish significantly. So this could be an opportunity for Real Madrid to sell a player essentially and get good money for him. However, we've sold so many players but have not recovered any. So, or purchased any. So it could be something that would also put a lot of us Madridistas kind of wondering, well, what is going to happen with this team in the future? But of course, it seems like this season is going to be one where if we don't get Mbappe, we're not going to get anybody else, and we're going to make do with what we have, hoping that in 2022, essentially at the end of the season, we would get Mbappe on a free and Haaland on a free, and that's what essentially could happen. That is what it seems like Real Madrid is looking to do at this point. But this could be a good solution in a sense to have some money in the bank. But it's going to be difficult to see what's going to happen because Martin Odegaard has, well, not difficult. I think it's at this point it seems like he's more out than in. The rumors of him being unhappy at the team, essentially, or unhappy with his role in the team, seem to be being reported widely. So it's not just Diario AS saying this, and The Sun, and where it's all over Spain that he's not currently very happy with his time at Real Madrid and wants more playing time. And if Arsenal's going to give it to him and they're going to pay us 50 million euros, it could be some good business, but the depth of the squad will, of course, continue to suffer. And that we were going to get into the situation with Mbappe. That we were going to get into news about Mbappe. There is no other story currently in the summer transfer window aside from Messi leaving to Barcelona, and of course what is going to happen with Kylian Mbappe. And now that Messi has gone to Barcelona, has left Barcelona and gone to PSG, the rumor mill of Mbappe possibly coming to Real Madrid continues, even though, the sheiks of Qatar and the Emir of Qatar and Al Khalifi has said, that he is going nowhere. Essentially, some of his words being pretty tough, in my opinion, kind of almost making this guy a prisoner of this club, essentially, if, because even if he wants to leave, they're just going to not let him leave. I don't understand how that's going to happen. But at this point, Mbappe hasn't really said anything, but other than, he's not going to renew. But, the drama continues. And essentially right now, a report from Defensa Central, from Raúl Gutiérrez at Defensa Central, is saying that PSG would let Mbappe leave to Real Madrid in 2022, but they would do it at the cost of essentially going after Haaland, who, apparently already wants to come to Real Madrid in 2022. They would do it, essentially let him go to Real Madrid, but they would take Haaland away from Real Madrid. So, that's, once again, PSG is becoming the thorn in everyone's side when it comes to world football. A big team, obviously. I've never had really a big issue with PSG other than the fact that they're a, state-run Qatari oil club at this point, just buying everybody up in the hopes of winning a Champions League. But they're becoming a thorn in everyone's side as essentially, swooping in and getting everybody, all the players that are considered top-notch players. And now it seems that they want to basically, come in and sabotage Real Madrid's move for Haaland because of the fact that Real Madrid wants Mbappe so badly. So, that is what is currently being said. Essentially, the Parisian team is resisting the exit of the French player, and they said that they would go after Erling Haaland if they let Mbappe go. He would be essentially one of their the players that they would put their sights on in order to replace Mbappe if he were to leave. However, Real Madrid seems to still maintain its tranquility, as Florentino would say, tranquilo. The intention of Real Madrid is to get Kylian Mbappe this summer and Haaland in 2022. But in the case that the French player stays in Paris, which kind of seems more likely every single day, it could be that it has not been discarded that Real Madrid would go after Erling Braut Haaland this same transfer window. Even though we've heard, of course, that that Dortmund would not sell him this summer, and would not sell him for anything less than like 175 million euros or something like that. Who knows if Dortmund, if they were approached with that kind of money for Erling Braut Haaland, if they would let him go, essentially. That could, they say they won't let him go now, but money talks, as we know. And essentially, if Real Madrid cannot get Mbappe from PSG, well, who knows if they'll go after, essentially, according to Raúl Gutiérrez here from Defensa Central, who knows if they'll go after Erling Braut Haaland this same summer, So that is still a possibility. I have on a personal note here again, outside of this article by Raúl Gutiérrez, I do feel that Mbappe, there's a possibility still that Mbappe could come to Real Madrid this summer. But if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised. We've been surprised already this summer with all this craziness going on. I wouldn't be surprised if Florentino just decides, all right, I'm going to throw the 170 million or 150 million euros that I currently have here available to me, and I'm going to throw them at purchasing Erling Braut Haaland, a player that has already expressed that he wants to come to Real Madrid, whose father toured Valdebebas, whose agent toured Valdebebas with, Haaland's father, and whose agent also wants to bring a player to Real Madrid. So the opportunities for this to happen are there. It would just be a totally crazy thing Because essentially, Haaland could come now and Mbappe could come in the summer if he does not renew with PSG, which at this point, he doesn't seem to want to renew with PSG. So that is the news I have for now in that regard. But there is a little bit more news when it comes to Mbappe. And this is not from the same article. This is not from Raul Gutierrez. This is essentially that PSG's situation, I guess, financially, is that the DNCG, which is the National Directorate in France of, managerial, let's see here what it's called. It's called the National Directorate of Management Control. The National Directorate of Management Control, or DNCG in French, is the organization that's responsible for monitoring and overseeing the accounts of professional football clubs in France, right? So the DNCG does not, so a lot of, things have been talked about the finances of Paris Saint-Germain. The DNCG does not say that a club can't lose money or be in the negative. It doesn't allow them to have a deficit unless the team can guarantee solvency, or that they can basically pay off the debt on a short-term basis. So in this case, PSG, even though it is presenting apparently, according to reports, a loss or a deficit of 200 million euros, the solvency has been guaranteed by the Emir of Qatar, who is, of course, the owner of PSG. I mean, the money he has, of course, to guarantee solvency, of course. So this would apparently, in DNCG's eyes, in the National Directorate's eyes of France, or if you want to call it financial fair play or whatever you want to call it, this means that the DNCG would permit PSG to retain Mbappe along with Messi and Neymar. However, what isn't compatible in this report is that the DNCG is not willing, apparently, to let go, to basically say that the team can continue to operate at a deficit and not balance their budgets. Because up until now, PSG has only sold Bakker for 7 million euros to Bayer Leverkusen. And Leonardo, who is, of course, the sporting director of PSG, is obligated to get to the approximate number that he mentioned was the current, that the current profit, or essentially the current, not the current profit, but the current, essentially the current, los ingresos, I guess, the money that they have received, is 180 million euros. That is what Leonardo has reported, I think, to the DNCG. He's reported that there's 180 million that they have received. However, they've only received on paper 7 million euros from Bayer Leverkusen. So where is the remaining money? And apparently the DNCG would have to see, okay, well, you say you got 180 million euros. Where is it? We only see 7 million. Now, could those possibly be the less than 180 million, roughly 170 something million that they are planning on getting from Real Madrid for Mbappe? Is that what that those missing funds are? That is La Parisien said that Mbappe could leave for 150 million euros in case that PSG couldn't renew. So this, and this is it was an older article from La Parisien that said that they could get 150 million euros for Mbappe. So it's a really interesting story there, because essentially the fact that, yes, the DNCG probably won't go after PSG, but essentially, they do not want teams to continue to operate at a deficit. And then the other thing that's more interesting, of course, is the fact that they reported, income of 180 million euros. That was the word I was looking for in English. 180 million euros, but essentially only have currently gotten 7 million euros for Bakker's sale to Bayer Leverkusen. So where is the remaining money? Could that be the money that they're waiting for from Real Madrid for Mbappe? So there's a lot of things to extrapolate from all of this. There is a lot of things that currently could be interesting for Real Madrid. That is the news I have for now. I know this is a long news, but this is, a couple different stories there for you guys to digest. And essentially, that is the news I have right now for Real Madrid. Stay tuned here to the Real Madrid Hub for all your Real Madrid news. And hit that subscribe button for all your Real Madrid news, as we are going to be reporting on all of this stuff that is happening in the crazy transfer market this summer with Real Madrid. Thank you for listening.